Yo, what it do, brothers? You're not tuning all that R.A.R.A with your Hebrew brother Milo Judah. What's going on, brothers? So, brothers, have you ever been scrolling down your timeline or, on YouTube and have came across a video or a short of a modern liberal woman talking and explaining what she desires in a partner? And yes, they love that term partner because they do not want to be led. But when you listen to them talk about their desires in a man, 9 times out of 10, they're basically describing a simp or a man who will put her above him and put her above anything that he has going on in life. She wants to be the center of attention in his life, right? And she also wants to run the relationship, tell him what she is and what she is not going to do, what she is and what she will not wear, and things of that nature. Basically, she will not be submissive to that man, but she wants that man to be submissive to her, and at the same time she wants him to be successful. She wants him to have a level of wealth. She wants him to have wisdom, have knowledge, have understanding of things that's going on around him, to be extremely intelligent, to be good looking, but to also be monogamous at the same time. So they want the whole package to themselves. But at the same time, the most they can offer you is some used up vagina. So I say all of that to say a man has to go ahead and lay down the rules of engagement the moment he feels that he is interested in a woman and perceives that she is interested in him as well. Because if he doesn't, then she's going to think it's a free-for-all and that she can basically say exactly what she wants to say when she wants to say it and not necessarily respect his mindset. And the moment that he decides to put his foot down after the fact, she's not going to respect it because he didn't do it initially, right? So, brothers, you have to lay down the rules of engagement. And if a woman, if she disagrees with those rules of engagement, then you two are not compatible, and that's fine. Go ahead, live your life, move on. Right, so brothers, we are going to watch a video of a woman explaining that, a man who is a leader, he is not to be led by women. He may take suggestions, but at the end of the day, the decision is his. He is going to make whatever decision he deems necessary in the moment, what decision he deems correct in the moment. That is what a man is going to do. Now, what I will say is, even if a man makes a decision and his woman gives her suggestion and it is wrong, meaning the man's decision is wrong, what he will do is go back and say, baby, you know what, you was right, I fucked up. But a lot of these women are not willing to be patient enough with their man to, experience that. They want him to listen to her all rip. And they'll use scriptures, in the Bible, like scriptures that say, the wife is a tower against death, basically thinking that the man is supposed to listen to her everything that she says, and he's supposed to take every suggestion that she gives to heart. But no, what that's saying is, a wife will make suggestions. She will say certain things, and a man, if he can deem that his wife is wise enough, then he would take what she says into consideration, right? And even if a man makes a wrong decision, he'll come back and tell her, what you said was right, and we can go along with what you said the next time. That's what a tower against death is, right? Not every time I make a decision, you're being combative because you see it another way. No, you understand how to be peaceful. You understand how to use discretion, how to use wisdom. You say things when it's time to say things. If you feel as if it's something on your mind that won't necessarily go over in a conversation, then you would keep it to yourself. Right, that's what a tower against death is, a woman who brings peace, a woman who is not stressing her man out. Because in this world, in this society, men don't have nets the same way that women have nets when they fall. If a man falls, he has to feel the pain, pick himself back up, and keep going. 9 times out of 10, if a woman falls, she has government assistance. She has other people that will help her. She has simp men who are willing to help her. Right, so things are different for men and women. Therefore, a tower against death is a woman who is not going to stress her man out. She's going to bring peace to him, right? He can trust in her, and she won't do him evil in, all the days of his life. That's what that's talking about, a tower against death. Not you telling me exactly what I should be doing, when I should be doing it, how I should be doing it. No. But with that being said, brothers, we are going to listen to this lady speak about, you know, the characteristics of a leader in a man. So with all that being said, let's do some real and rare analysis. Let's get it.
You can't have a strong man and a man that does whatever you say. Those are contradictions. Because a strong man, he's not going to let you run him and tell him what to do, how to do, when to come, when to go. No, that's not a strong man. A weak man, a simp, is going to let you run all over him, do what you want. He going to jump when you say jump. He going to say how high.
Brothers, the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 33, and verse 19, it says, "Give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repent thee, and thou entreat for the same again." So basically, don't give someone something that you know you need, and that you will have to ask for it back, right? But the first part of that verse, "Give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest." A lot of these women, they come into relationships trying to be the man of the relationship and trying to be the head of the relationship. Do not allow that to happen. You want to get a woman who understands and respects the masculine aspect of men, right? Who understands that, men are going to curse. Men are going to say things that may come off as brass or in the moment unbecoming when they are around other men that they are comfortable with. Right? Men are going to say things to their sons that they would not say to their daughters. Right? And it's a lot of women who, when they get into a relationship with a man and, they have a son together, they try to control the way that that man talks to his son. Hey, brothers, I'm going to let you brothers in on something. If my son was right here with me right now and I asked him, "Hezzy, Hezzy, what do you say to a stranger if they try to offer you candy?" He's going to say, "I don't want your fucking candy." Hey, and he's only 3 years old, right? But I told him to say that. I've taught him to say that, right? And my wife, she has no quarrels about it. She hasn't said anything about it because she understands that's my son. I'm going to teach him what's best for him, right? If he's in public and you you hear a toddler say, "I don't want your fucking candy," everybody gonna turn their head like, "What the hell is going on?" Right? But the point is, man, my wife doesn't try to control the way that I speak to my son, to our son. Right? She understands the masculine aspect of my personality. Right? She also understands that I'm a provider. Right? I'm a leader, and I'm also a nurturer. Right? The woman is the nurturer, but as a man, I am also a nurturer. I have to nurture her. I have to nurture our child. But I also have to teach him how to defend himself, how to uh, stop situations before they occur. Right? Sometimes he is going to say things that lets you know that he is not playing with you. "I do not want your fucking candy." But no, seriously, brothers. Just to piggyback off what the sister in the video is saying, yes, you know, a woman who understands masculinity is going to let you be a man. Real talk. That don't mean do not listen to her. She will say things that are very wise, right? And you have to be the man who understands, what spirit your wife is speaking to you in. Whether she's being combative, she's speaking to you in a genuinely concerned state of mind, you have to be able to deduce what's going on. But point is, you also have to be the leader in your home. And this sister understands that a man who is led, you know, of course, if we're talking spiritually, a man who is led by the Most High, a woman is not going to be his first priority. Don't mean she isn't a priority, but his first priority is going to be pleasing the Most High. But even if a man who doesn't necessarily believe in the scriptures, but he understands that he has a purpose, and he understands masculinity and that he has to be on his purpose first, he's not going to allow a woman to dictate to him.
That's a weak man. That's not a strong man. That's a simp. And if you want a strong man, then you're going to have to accept the fact that that man is not going to do whatever you say. If you want a strong man, then you have to be able to accept the fact that that man is going to be a leader. And leaders are going to do what they do. They're going to lead. They may take advice, but ultimately the decision is left up to them whether they take it or not.
Brothers, I've touched on this topic or dynamic in other videos about a man leading and, leaders making the final decision, right? And the fact that a woman will give her 2 cents, but she also understands that a man will make the final decision whether he takes her suggestion or quote unquote advice, right? And he adheres to it or not. That decision is up to him. A woman understands that, a wife understands that, and a man who is humble, when he makes the wrong decision, he will be humble enough to come back to his wife and say that, you know what, babe, I got this one wrong. I should listen to you on this one. But a lot of these women, they do not understand that a man is going to make the final decision. They want to be able to have say so in the final decision. Right now, with a lot of you brothers, you younger brothers, what you will start to learn is that whether or not you allow a woman to have input on a decision, she is still going to blame you. So, say y'all are having a conversation about, a budget and something y'all want to purchase in the future, and she says, I want to do it this way, and you say, no, I think we should do it this way, right? And she convinces you to do it her way, and, when the time passes and it's time to make the purchase, and y'all went about budgeting her way, and now y'all don't have enough money, right? And that topic comes up in conversation, she's going to say something like, well, we should have went with your decision anyway, right? If you knew that you were correct, or you knew that my decision was incorrect, you should have just went ahead and went with your decision, because now we don't have enough funds to purchase whatever we are trying to purchase. Moral of the story is, she's going to blame it on you anyway, so you might as well go with your move, right? That doesn't mean do not take into consideration or don't take into account what she is saying, because she may have some wise things to say. But at the end of the day, the decision is on you, so-called black man. You have to understand that you have to lead. And also, you have to have a good percentage or a great percentage in right versus wrong, right? Because as a man, you don't want to not be able to have foresight or be able to, foreshadow what's going to happen in the future. Don't mean you're going to get everything right. But at the end of the day, when you are assessing situations and the dynamics of this society, you are able to deduce what's going on and, not exactly what is going to occur, but have a pretty good idea of what's going to occur. Right? I mean, as a 24-year-old or 25-year-old, well, I may have been 26, I don't know, when Joe Biden was given the presidency. You can ask my wife, man. I felt some kind of way about that shit. Because I was like, a lot of people honestly just don't know what they've just done. As far as, the economy, the way things are going to be, right, these next 4 years, it's going to get pretty tough. And it got pretty tough. I couldn't tell you exactly what was going to happen, but, you know, I knew that we were going to have to pay attention to everything and be on our shit as a couple. Because, I mean, if you just look at the 4 years that Joe Biden was in office compared to the previous 4 years that Donald Trump was in office, a lot of people who were successful, a lot of people who were, when I say successful, I'm talking financially, a lot of people who were doing pretty well for themselves, you know, a lot of people are seeing hard times, right? And they are starting to crawl their way back up now. But, I mean, shit got dark. Shit got dark. A lot of people weren't able to see the light at the end of the tunnel when Joe Biden was in office, and that's just the truth. But point is, as a young man, I was able to see that, right? I saw it coming. So, brothers, you have to be able to deduce what's going on in this society, your percentage of right versus wrong. It always has to be, you know, leaning toward the, I mean, you got to be like a 80-20, 70-30, right? You have to be able to know what's going on. You have to be able to use your wisdom and be able to lead your family. You have to have answers for your wife and for your children. If you can't do that, then you can't be expected to be looked at as a leader or the leader in your home. That's just real talk.
You have to be able to accept the fact that a strong man is not going to be your footstool. He's not going to do whatever you say. He's going to have his own mind. He's not going to be all pee-whipped and all this about a woman. A strong man is going to be confident in himself. He will have some sort of standard. I know y'all think y'all can run a man, do whatever y'all want to do because y'all got a slit between y'all legs. But baby, a strong man is not pee-whipped. A strong man will leave you where you stand if you are disrespectful, if you cannot get with the program.
That's right. Nah, but real talk, she on point. She's on point. You know, the so-called black woman, for the most part in this society, is not raised to be a wife, and that is to her detriment. Because a lot of brothers are waking up, and a lot of brothers do want wives, right? And with that being said, with them not being raised to be wives, it makes it pretty hard for them to be protected the way that they are asking to be protected, right? Because a lot of men were raised to protect women. They were raised to treat women with, you know, with courtesy and to be a gentleman to random women, right? Even still to this day, as a man, you open the door for women, right? I'm not necessarily saying you give up your seat, but, you know, you open the door for women, you hold the elevator open for women, just little small things. Little stuff that most men won't do for other men, they won't do for, you know, they will do for women. I'm not going to lie. I'll hold the door for a brother. I'll hold the door for a so-called white man. I know a lot of brothers get upset about that, but it just is what it is. It's just common courtesy. You hold the door for a white man? Man, I hold the door for an Indian man, a Hispanic man, a Chinese man. I mean, it is what it is, man. I ain't tripping on little stuff like that. All right? Brothers act like you trying to kick it. But even still, you know, a man who understands himself and a man who has a purpose and a man who is purpose driven, he's not tripping on women. That's pretty much the point of what this woman is getting at.
And there's nothing wrong with a man having standards. A lot of y'all hate the fact that some men have standards. And those are the ones that y'all be calling sassy because they don't take none of y'all shit. Y'all want a man that'll take your shit and do whatever you say. But that's not what a strong man will do. A wimp, a simp, yeah.
A wimp, a simp, yeah.
But not a strong man.
So yeah, brothers, that's it, man. you don't ever have to do too much. A woman who genuinely respects you, she will respect your no just as much as she loves your yes. Right? So she may not like the reason you say no. She may not like the reason that you make the decision that you make, but she will respect it. Right? And she will respect you as a man enough to back off. Right? If he's going to be wrong, let him be wrong. Fuck it. But, that don't mean she don't care about you, or that don't mean that she won't make a suggestion. But if you're going to be wrong, you're going to be wrong, man. You have to be man enough to come back to her and say, baby, you was right. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. You just, brothers, you have to understand, you have to read, you have to research things that's going on in this society. You have to pay attention to what's going on in this society, to things that's in front of you, to things that's around you. You have to be aware of all of that, right? And that does not mean that you are going to get everything wrong. Everything right. I do not want brothers to think like that, because once you begin to think like that, you put a ton of unnecessary pressure on yourself, right? And, you begin to stress yourself out, and that's just unnecessary. But at the end of the day, you do want to have a good idea of what's going on, so therefore you can communicate it with your woman or your women and your children, right? And be able to, move smooth, be able to move with wisdom and knowledge, understanding, be able to enjoy yourself with what's going on around you. Right? Always be aware, but at the same time, live your life, so-called black man. Right? But as I stated, man, that's pretty much it. So that's all that real and rare analysis. Yo.